So, I just got a question that is Nirvana related, and it just kind of made me think, it has been about a year since I did. Really, I think the first video that I did was how I met Kurt and Chris, and I thought that people would be interested, but, like some people, kind of like when I talked about the Montage of Heck film and contributing the Legends video and talking to the lady that was in charge of the contracts and all that stuff. It's like, I think people will be interested, and that didn't spiral out of control with the Montage of Heck thing. I got a lot of views, but not a lot of subscribers from that, really. I mean, some, but I mean like 50 or something. So I looked to see the date that I did that on how I met. Sorry if this gets blurry at all. I think it'll be okay. I had to reset my camera for a higher quality setting. In the process, for some reason, I have to work with it a little bit differently to make sure it stays in focus. So, okay, we'll go back. So, I lost my train of thought. I'm not going to lose my train of thought on this because there's a lot to talk about here. So anyway, when I was looking to see when was it that I did that first video, oh yeah, and it was December 27th, which is tomorrow. So I thought, there's a lot of subscribers since then. A lot of subscribers that have subscribed and seen some of my videos or whatever, and they don't really know who is this guy, whatever. So I'm going to attempt to go into more depth. And when you watch that first one on December 27th, 2017, you'll see there's a lot of edits because I'm like self-conscious, man. I don't, I'm like, it's not very comfortable videotaping yourself. So in a year doing probably 200 videos or whatever I've done since then, I've become a lot more comfortable and a lot more less self-conscious, and I know that who I'm talking to, which is a camera, but I I realize they're you guys are from all over the world, and I appreciate all of you so freaking much. It's amazing. It's really changed my life to be more open, to share how I feel, to share. So much. It has changed my life. So this is a year later, and I'm doing this. I'm going to attempt to do this again, and hopefully not have any edits. The only edits that will happen on here is if I'm like forgetting. Remember, you guys, we're going back. I have to go back 36 years. 36 years to when I was actually maybe 37, because I was 13, 14, somewhere around that when I first met Buzz. And there's actually an interview, my brother interviews the Melvins, and Buzz recalls seeing us, talking to my brother, seeing us at the first Melvin show. That was before Dale started playing drums in the band. I think the guy's name is Mike. Yeah, Mike, I think. So that's how far we got to go back. So I'm going to start this a little bit different. I'm just going to go back to that time, actually when Bruce and I first, how we first met Buzz. So the very first shows that we went to, Metropolis and maybe Grey Door, or there's a couple other clubs there. We would show up, Dad would drop us off, he'd always drive us up there. Usually that's all the first shows we went to. I think once we went with a friend, drove. But we'd go up there, Dad would drop us off, and we'd hang out for the show, and then Dad would pick us up. Dad would do whatever Dad did in Seattle. So, a few times, probably three or so times, Bruce may have not been with me every time. There may have been, like, I know Bad Brains, I don't think he was with me. I went up with some friends to that one, that's right. Eric Bittman and Jason Traeger, I think. Yeah, I went with them specifically to see the Bad Brains. Anyway, Buzz would be there, and he'd be sitting by himself. This is like, I remember all the times he'd be sitting by himself on the front of the stage, and you know, kind of like his hair's curly, and it was a lot shorter back then. And we wouldn't know anybody, and we were like excited to be at a show, you know. It literally was like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like we're going to see like Scream, or we're going to see Poison Idea, you know, or whoever, right? The U-Men. So we were excited. I mean, we'd walk up front and sometimes sit on the stage ourselves. I mean, and wait. And Buzz was friendly. We talked to Buzz. Didn't know anything else about him at all. And at one point, he told us that he plays in the band the Melvins, and they're just starting to play, or they're going to be playing. I think he was just telling us about his first show. So this is like where, you know, I'm talking about re-editing, because I have to remember in my brain. As Buzz said, we were at the Melvins' first show, and that was the one with the Faction and Sun City Girls and the Melvins opened, and the show actually got shut down, but the Melvins opened, so we got to see them play. Anyway, so we would talk to Buzz. If I was there, I'd talk to Buzz and say hi. And then we saw them play, and we were like, hey, that's Buzz, you know, and their band was really good. Like, the Melvins, okay? I mean, you that know the Melvins, you can listen to the earliest Melvins recordings, and yet there's even video of them playing back then. I don't know if there's video with the first drummer, though. I'm not sure. But anyway, we were, right at that point, we were actually putting together a local tape called Rock and Rail. Like, talk about DIY, man. Anyway, I've talked about that tape, and I've posted that tape in its entirety on my page. You can find both sides, and the Melvins are on there. And somebody even interjected on that, and I don't know if it was somebody from the Melvins or somebody, I don't know who it was, but they said, no, that is actually considered the Melvins' first release. And the other first release was Let's Kiss Comp on K, which band that I was in shortly, maybe a year, not even a year later after like those early shows that Bruce and I went to. We were on that comp too, but anyway. So that's how we met Buzz. So now we fast forward. See, I have to start with this, and you know. So now we fast forward. And Bruce and I had a band called ATG. It was our very first punk band. We practiced in my bedroom, and I started to kind of get the hardcore beat down, learn the punk rock beat. So this is like 83. And at one point, I met a friend that would go to the Hell House, and she knew Jim and John, and she was just going into 8th grade. I mean, I was in 8th grade back then. I was a kid. But my excitement and my drive to play punk rock I loved music. That's all I wanted to do. I was driven, I mean, there's nothing in our city, so, we helped create a punk rock scene in a sense with quite a few other people. So, the Hell House. So, I go to the Hell House, and literally the first day I jam with John Grant. And, I mean, Noxious Fumes is started. Me and John start jamming. John knows Mike. John knows Lisa. Everything just falls into place. And literally, we have a set of songs in, 3 months or something. I mean, we played every day. John was like about 10 years older than me, so he would have been like 25 or 24 when I was 14, 15. And he was like, nope, gotta practice tomorrow. Come on over, let's go, let's do it. So it was very serious, very, very driven band. And then all of a sudden, I'm in like 8th grade, later 8th grade, and maybe, that's the time I have to figure out if I was early 8th grade, or it would have been the summer before 9th. So the summer before 9th grade is when Noxious Fumes played the first show. That would have been, it's like, I think it's July or August of 1984. So we play our first show with JFA and the Sun City Girls at the Tropicana. And I don't remember if the Melvins were on that show, but within a couple weeks, or 3 weeks, the Melvins played their first show with Dale. And I almost am positive about this. And Noxious Fumes played. So I remember Buzz introducing me to Dale and saying, hey man, this is our new drummer, Dale. So that's when I met Dale, too. We were playing a show together at the Tropicana. And it might have been that show, too. It was like within that one or the next show, because we played a few shows with the Melvins as opening bands at the Tropicana for like a bunch of killer shows down there. And I remember the Melvins would do like, one time, they did, I want to say, multiple Metallica songs. And that might have been when I was really interested. Buzz and I started talking about metal at some point, and we were all into. Bruce never got as much into the U.S. metal that I remember, maybe a little bit, but Bruce was more into the new wave of British heavy metal stuff, and then he kind of went on. He's 4 years older than me, kind of went on his own. But I was all about the U.S. metal, like Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, all that early, the first stuff. I was like, wow, this is intense, man. This is crazy. I'm checking my camera's still recording. Shit. So the Melvins. Okay, so I talked to Buzz at those shows, and he gave me at least one tape, maybe be another one. I don't remember exactly, but he made me a comp tape of like, you know, Megadeth's demo and like early Metallica and like all of the stuff before that stuff came out. Really, I mean, it was like, or it had just come out, and he wanted me to hear the early stuff. I don't remember exactly, but so we kept in contact. We were friends. Buzz was really original guy. He is like our taste in music. There wasn't a lot of other people around then that had that like similar taste in music. So I am going to pause this because my battery's about to die. All right. All right. Battery's charged, and I will continue. So we're going to go to. I ended at the Tropicana. One thing, I watched the first part that I just did, and around the first time, so it might have been even at that show where Bruce and I saw the Melvins' first show, and they opened for the Faction, and we were putting together Rock and Rail. And it was around that time when we asked them, hey, you guys want to be on this comp? And Buzz was all about it. So from that point on, we kept in contact, and so we ended up putting 3 Melvin songs on that Rock and Rail comp. Didn't make very many copies, but you can listen to the whole thing online. So I'm going to fast forward to the Tropicana. So Krist he was at the early Melvin shows. He helped them move gear, kind of roadie, friend. So he was at a lot of the shows. So when I met Chris, that's where I met. So it would have been like 1984. And I have to confirm this. And it would be interesting, because I'd have to confirm it with Buzz. Anyway, so I remember Buzz introducing me to a friend that came to see the show, and the Melvins were playing, Noxious Fumes was playing, and I don't remember who else was playing, and what exact show it was. But I think that Kurt came down to the Tropicana and saw a show, and Buzz introduced me to him. And that would be bizarre if that was Kurt. So I met Kurt, and it was so brief. I mean, it was like, there's just this memory of meeting this guy, and in my mind, the similarities are like Kurt. It's just so like, it's such a like little memory, because I don't even think I talked to this person really more. Remember, I was like 14, 15, I was like. So, and Kurt would have been 16, 17, something like that. But I may have made, might be when I met Kurt. It's very possible. So I'd always talk to Buzz and Dale and Matt. So those guys would play shows at the Hell House, the Tropicana. There was a place called the Gorilla Gardens. At the same time, Noxious Fumes, we were playing a lot of the same shows. So we played quite a few shows with the Melvins in like 84, 85 era. And Chris was there a lot. So And he was always really, really friendly and just like, um, he was a nice guy, you know. Absolutely, he is a nice guy. But that's when I met Chris. So now, around the same time, my brother had a band that he had started. So ATG had split up. Bruce went on and started a band called The Grind with a few other people. I was in Noxious Fumes. So The Grind was Tim, a guy named Kurt Flansburgh on vocals, um, the drummer, Sean Duran, who I was also in Subvert with, he played drums in The Grind, and George Reber played bass, and my brother played guitar. So Tracy Marander was really good friends with Kurt Flansburgh. So now this is about 1985-ish. I'm gonna say. I think I'm about spot on. And they'd practice in my bedroom. So Tracy Marander would come over to the band practices quite often with Kurt Flansburgh and hang out at the house. The house that we grew up in Fircrest. 322 Contra Costa Avenue, Fircrest, Tacoma, Washington. And so I'm going to have to edit this a little bit because I'm spacing. See, this is the thing. It's like I feel like I was on a roll earlier, then my battery died. Okay. So I'm trying to get to the point without going too far. I know I went into a little bit more of the Melvins stuff. So anyway, so Tracy became closer of a friend to myself and my brother. She was always going to shows, going to grind shows and Noxious Fume shows, to the Hell House. So she was a serious music lover and photographer. Anyway, so now I have to cut and we move forward to 1987. So, okay, at one point, the Grind broke up. So the Grind was probably together for like a year, maybe a little bit more. They broke up. My brother reformed a band. Didn't really see Tracy at all for like a couple years. Bruce started another band called Soylent Green. I was doing something different. I was like, had a band called Active Sabotage for a little while. Vampire Circus. Noxious Fumes got back together again before Subvert. So there was a show that I went to, and then I knew that my brother's band was playing, and I went, and when I went in, Skid Row was playing the second I walked in to the Community World Theater. So that was the first time that I heard those guys play, and instantly I was like, "That's Krist." Or that's the guy. I don't know. I don't remember if I remembered his name or not. I may not have. But that's a guy that is the Melvin's roadie friend. Always at the Melvins shows. I think I probably did remember his name, you know? It's Krist. You know, I don't think my memory is that bad. Anyway, so um, instantly, I remember like really liking the band. You know, thinking that it was really unique and it was catchy. Like I really dug the vocalists. I've been very picky with vocalists throughout my whole life, and there's a certain tone and a certain style that you know catches you, and obviously you know all of you that really like Nirvana at this point, you know, I mean, you know what it's like when you first hear Kurt sing, you know, that's when I first heard Kurt singing, and it hit me. It hit me uh, profoundly, you know, in a sense. Like I remember sitting down and just going like, just taking it in. You know, this is very random. This is like a weekday, you know, at the Community World Theater. It's just very, very random. Um, I had missed Soylent Green then. I think I got there late. I don't remember the details of that or what exactly. But I do remember watching Skid Row and being absolutely blown away. And then after, I approached Kurt and asked him if he had a tape. You know, any recordings. And he told me that they were going to record something soon and, you know, come to the next show, whatever. You know, it's actually a pretty quick conversation right then. So that's really when I first met Kurt. Though I may have met him first at the Tropicana, I just can't quite confirm that. You know what? Wouldn't be surprised if that was Kurt. You know, I just have this feeling it was. Like I could see him in my mind's eye, you know, like that memory that was Kurt. And he came to the show with Buzz, you know, with those guys. It completely makes sense. Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot more. I don't know. If you watch the videos, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I mean, I've gone into so much detail, you guys, so I'm going to leave it at this. And if you go back literally a year ago exactly, on December 27th, tomorrow, 2017, and then start watching videos from that point, I go off on all kinds of... People started asking me questions. Then there was a point when, you know, because I had talked about Kurt giving me tapes throughout a couple of years, and somebody was like, "Wow, do you still have that Montage of Heck one? You should upload it." So that's what happened then. I uploaded all four of them. I was just going to upload one, but I thought about it. I'm like, fuck it, you know, I'll upload all four tapes that Kurt gave me, and then that's when everything spiraled out of control. And that's kind of weird too. It's like with all those news articles, and you know, people are like, unreleased Nirvana demos, and you know, Nirvana practice tapes. Like, just people called them everything. And if you go back to those videos, there's like one point where I'm like, you know, I think there may be only a couple songs that have never been released, but I think versions of them have all been uploaded. Maybe there was, you know, I don't search. You guys probably know more than me, but I mean, pretty much everything had been released. My whole point was, you know, now I'm rambling, but my whole point was, that this is how Kurt recorded me, the tapes, the songs in the order you hear them. A couple of them have been taken down. I'm not going to re-upload them. You know, I get strikes on my page, you know, uploading that stuff, you know, whatever, all the copyrights and bullshit. So, anyway, thanks so much. I hope that went into enough detail. I think so. It's pretty straightforward. There's more detail, I'm sure I could go on, but again, I'll be rambling. Alright, you guys, thanks so much. Bye. And thank you for the new subscribers and listeners. And yeah, you know, I don't say stuff like, subscribe, you know, and all that. I don't know. I just think people will do what they do, and I'm not trying to force anything, you know. So I just want to share stories and make new friends on here and all that stuff. So okay, thanks. Bye.